So there's been a lot of work that's gone into season 2, and I think, behind the scenes, it took us 10 months to launch season 1, and we learned so much from that. It was literally like starting a startup. We had lots of different people join the team. There's about 6 or 7 of us now who work on the team. The whole idea, putting the idea together, building all the back end, and really learning the podcast market and the landscape. It's such an exciting time for podcasting. The growth is absolutely meteoric right now. And so for season 2, it was really about taking all of those learnings, absorbing them, and, sort of seeing different ways that we could take it to the next level for the next kind of forthcoming seasons. And I think one of the main sort of areas for us that's been a notable sort of difference has been the caliber of our guests. Like season 1, it was pretty much people that were directly in my network, people who I know very well. And so there was a little more, let's say, informalities between them. Whereas season 2, you're talking to people you've never met before, and you're talking to them in a virtual scenario, and you have to kind of build that rapport very quickly and build that trust to kind of get a very interesting and deep and dynamic interview from them. So that's definitely been some of the key sort of areas that we've taken Mission Makers to the next level. And so talking about those caliber of guests, that was one of the things that surprised me the most about season 2 was, cold emails really do work. We reached out to a lot of these guys and girls literally through their agents on a cold email. And of course, our emails were written, but we spent a lot of time sort of thinking about the right approach and the right synergies that we might be able to explore with them. But, they seem to have a pretty good success rate. And secondly, I think another thing that surprised us as well was we got a number 1, and then we got into the top 5% of podcasts in the world very quickly on into our launch. And I think that's been awesome because we've just literally been just keep on stepping it up a gear, and now we're in the top 2.5. So that feels pretty good. So yeah, it's definitely, a surreal feeling, the chance that you send a cold email to one of your industry heroes and they reply back and they're up for doing an interview. And I think, even with Carl, it literally doesn't get bigger than that in dance music. And I was so touched by his generosity, and you would think that somebody, of his caliber, doesn't need to be so nice. And he genuinely was. Like, he gave me 2 hours of his time when we were only scheduled for 1. And, he's an absolute legend. Like, the guy races cars, races motorbikes. So, we definitely got on like a house on fire, and really grateful for the time that he had for Mission Makers. And yeah, the other thing that really surprised me is you guys may have noticed by now that we do ask our guests if they know about the meaning of their name and if it somehow resonates with them either subconsciously or consciously. And it's kind of surreal because a lot of the guests we've had on, like, they actually haven't dug too deep, or some of them actually don't even know what their name means. So quite quickly on, within like the first 5 minutes of the interview, we suddenly find ourselves like telling somebody, what their name means, which has been quite a surreal experience. And even like Bob Moses, the guys, like, they didn't know what their name meant. And then when we sort of made it sort of merge with the actual meaning of the band, it was a really, one of those moments that I'll just always remember, and so will stay with us for a long time. So I think if we had to draw like a red line through season 2, I think some of the key themes that really stood out was, number 1, the importance of soft skills. And I think Sally Ann, she went quite deep into the topic, but all of our guests, whether they're business, music or motorsport, all of them touched upon the skills that make us human. Because at the end of the day, we live in this increasingly automated world. And when you meet someone, it's not really, their job title that you remember, but it's actually how they made you feel as a person. And I think particularly as we've been thrust into this sort of globalized digital world with COVID, you think about the impact this is going to have on the future generations, especially when the World Economic Forum talks about how, these skills of creativity, resilience, collaboration, like, these are the top 10 skills that as a world we are going to need to really go deeper into if we're going to stand out, if we're going to make it to the next stage of our careers. And I think the second theme that really stood out was, closing the gender gap. And it's definitely a topic that's very close to my heart. And, talking to people literally who are turning the wheel from the top, such as Catherine Bond-Weir, talking about females in motorsport, like, why haven't we got that female Formula 1 driver yet, And then we had people like Shelley coming in. She's had events where, more than 18,000 women have kind of attended her events, who have been pivotal in getting the gender gap closed in their respective businesses. So I think it's a topic that a lot of us have really kind of shone a light on, and I guess we'll continue to do so until there is no need to shine that light on that particular topic. So I'm super excited to share that season 3 is definitely coming in with a bang. We are keeping that quality consistent. We've managed to actually secure an interview with a Formula One driver, so I'm super excited about that because it's going to be the first Formula One driver I'm ever going to interview, which has been on my bucket list for ages. And I'll give you guys a little hint. He won the 24 Hours of Le Mans, and he used to race for McLaren as well. And so yeah, we've got the Formula One driver, and then we also have quite a few significant DJs on the same sort of level as Carl Cox, so stay tuned, and I will see you guys back in the autumn, ready for new learnings, ready to take it to the next level. And thank you guys so much for tuning in, and also a big thank you to Atelier Automotive here in Westfield, who have kindly lent us their amazing workshop to film in today. As you guys may have seen from last season as well, we filmed a couple of our bonus episodes in here, so definitely if you're in Westfield, London, Shepherd's Bush, come down, take a look at the cars. If you ever need a place to get your car detailed as well, definitely pay them a visit.